Hey everyone, this is Andrew, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about screaming once again. Now, a lot of people who have online of my channel have had a lot of questions on exactly how you do screaming and how you add rasp to your voice. And a lot of that I can't answer just because I can't get like a microscope or some kind of camera in my throat to look at what I'm doing and then tell you what to do, and then even then you'd have to get a camera in your throat to be able to copy what I'm doing to figure out exactly how to add rasp and how to scream. So I try to teach it in metaphors, and usually that works for a lot of people because that's really how I learned it as well. And the usual approach is that you get this kind of metaphor of a sound you'll have to do, like go like and then like you use that to learn how to add rasp because it's basically the same kind of technique. The downside to this method is that that really doesn't tell you anything if you can't make that original sound or if you're just not getting anywhere. It really does take a lot of trial and error on your part, and you really have to just kind of go through it and see what works, see what doesn't, get some kind of sound, work with it till it feels comfortable, and then use that, and then evolve it over time. That's what I did, and that's what worked for me. So in this video, I'm just going to kind of go over everything and show you how, what I feel like is going on in my throat. So anyways, if you want to do that kind of high scream that I do, which is probably the most common in bands and stuff, is that you like, well, first I'll show you the scream, just like a yow. Now there's a few ways you can do it. You can do like a whisper thing, like yow, 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 and get that sound that way. You can hold a note like yeah, and then take the note out until you get that sound and then turn it into a scream. Those are the two ways that I think are the easiest to figure it out. So anyways, once you're able to kind of get some sound, now I'm just going to show you what it feels like I'm doing. So specifically, you have your larynx right here, your Adam's apple. And someone asked me if it goes up or if it goes down when you do screaming. So if I'm just going to try it right now. So if I go like, yow, yow. Now, I feel like it stays at the same place as far as that goes. The only time it goes up and down is when I'm changing pitch in the scream, I mean. So if I'm going like, yow! The Adam's apple starts off like here, and then it just kind of dips down to make the space bigger and make a deeper sound. Now, as far as if my throat is open or closed during this, it feels pretty open. Now, obviously, some part is closing. Your false chords, so you have your vocal cords in your Adam's apple right here, and then directly above your vocal cords are the false vocal cords, and they're called false because you don't really talk with them. Now, I believe that certain kinds of people with vocal problems who don't have vocal cords talk like this. So if you hear people who have their vocal cords removed, they kind of talk like this because they only use their false cords to talk, though they probably even talk worse than that. So it's just like, hey, what's going on? Because like they're just talking with their false cords, no vocal cords, and that's how you do the low scream. So you can kind of get like a frustrated sigh, like a and then you turn it into like a yo. And then eventually you just get like an actual low scream, it's like a yo, and that's that. And so both screams use your false vocal cords, but one mixes it with your voice. So the high scream mixes it with your voice. But when I actually do the thing, you can feel some kind of tensing around the vocal cord area. It does feel like it's above. So if we go like yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. It feels like right above my vocal cords that there's some vibrations going on. And if I'm not warmed up or I'm not hydrated enough, then I feel like it does do a ticklish, and sometimes it'll make me cough. So it's important to drink enough water and be warmed up before you do this. But as far as my throat goes, it doesn't feel too close. It doesn't feel too strained. I can try to make it feel strained for you. Like if I was gonna sing a note like hey, I can do it with a very open sound like hey, or I can do a very strained sound. Hey, hey, and like it's just kind of constriction in the throat and like Adam's apple and nasally. But there's you can make your throat very constricted or open, and it feels pretty open because like yeah, 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 yeah. Now my throat feels pretty wide open. I just feel the false chords kind of getting close and shutting, and that's really what's going on in your throat. As far as the low screams go, my throat feels probably too much open because I have issue getting the scream to last very long. But that is what's going on in your throat. Low screams, your false chords close, there's no voice, it's just air, false chord. The high screams are like vibrating vocal cords combined with your false chords to make that higher scream sound, which is why you can kind of hear a note in there if you listen carefully. So if you hear like a yeah, so first I get a note and then I rasp it. So it's, but if I just do the scream, yeah, you can kind of make sounds with it, and it does sound like there's a small pitch in there. Very subtle, but you can kind of hear it, and you can, when you're singing over music, you can kind of make it line up right on the dot. Now I'm going to go over to diaphragm stuff. Now it's very important to use your diaphragm when you're screaming, which I haven't covered much in videos because I've just kind of talked about it and said go learn it elsewhere. But now I'm going to talk about it a little more officially. So if you're singing, like let's say you're not a singer and you might breathe with your chest, but you should be breathing with your stomach. That's how we're all born to breathe. So that's how you breathe. And your diaphragm's located here, and it kind of like attaches to your stomach at the bottom, and also at the bottom of your lungs. So when it goes out, it gets lowered, and it pulls your lungs out to fill them with air, and they fill up from the bottom, and they can fill up all the way to the top. And so diaphragm, you can get much more of your lungs and much more control, because you can control the your stomach muscles to use, or your diaphragm muscles to control the amount of air you're putting out. So like, let's say I'm holding like a high note, like a yeah. Your stomach muscles will be rock solid, and that's important because you want to have enough breath pressure to get your sound. It's not like you're pushing really hard and you're getting a lot of air through your voice. You're just having a lot of strong breath support. So you're locking it into place and you're pushing out a solid stream of air in a very regulated amount that you can control. So you can do a lot of exercises where you control how much air you have out and various different things. But you can control how slowly or quickly the air is going out of your lungs and through your vocal cords. Now when you're screaming, the same thing applies. You really want to have very strong diaphragm support in terms of screaming. So like, if you're doing a scream, you have like a, so just watch my stomach here. So like, I'm just breathing normally, then I bust out a scream. Yeah! And you can see the, yeah! Yeah! They kind of locks into place as I do it. And the same thing applies with just singing. You want to have proper support. So like, and you always want to have a very strong support when you're singing or screaming. But for screaming, it's very important, because if you're breathing with your lungs, you could end up pushing up too much air. And the air is really what hurts your voice. It's the friction of everything rubbing together. So using your diaphragm to scream is extremely important. And if my little explanation isn't clear enough, I would recommend you to buy, and just any book, any singing book, just like Singing for Dummies. I think I have it on my bookshelf somewhere over there. Anything that just goes over diaphragm breathing, watch it, look it up on YouTube, look it up online, and find out how to do it, because that alone will help you with the screaming thing. And now the other point I want to make in terms of how to get that sound. So like, if you want more specifics on how to do the screaming and the rasp and stuff, just watch my, I guess I'll do a link right here for my first video in the screaming series and the first video in the singing with rasp series. So check those out if you want more specifics on that. But another point I want to cover is singing or screaming with an emotion behind it. So like, I could sing a song and I could just sing it, or I could actually like feel it as I'm singing it. And the feeling part is really what makes the rasp feel more natural, because like certain parts you want to be aggressive and you want to make it feel like it's aggressive. It shouldn't hurt like it's aggressive, but it should feel aggressive. And there's a lot of examples of this, but for your first song to think of how to scream, like I did it. I think one of my first few songs I screamed was it was by Bullet Valentine. It's like, betrayed one more time, but somewhere down that line, you're gonna get what's coming at you. Look at me now, look at me now, look at me now, pull the knife from my back. And the faces are important. The amount of emphasis you put in everything is very important, because it helps you get the emotion out of what you're doing. And getting the emotion in it is kind of what helps you to get the actual sound. Let me just see how long I'm going on right now. Okay, I have enough time. So the emotion is important, and it also applies with rasp. So like, I don't know if you know Deftones, but the song Passenger, I could just sing the chorus of like, roll these windows down this cool night, air is curious. And that's the melody of the song, but it sounds lame as hell without Maynard. But I could also sing it like this, which will hopefully sound much better. It's like, roll these windows down this cool night, And as you can tell, hopefully, that take was much better than the one I did before. Because I'm putting my whole self into the singing attitude. And I know I've said that I've taken lessons from Jamie Van Dyre, and that's where I developed a lot of my technique vocally. But I also took lessons from Tony Harnell, who also did webcam lessons. And during that time, I was less focused on technique and more about, like, just singing. And, like, Jamie was great for that as well, but I just went to someone, you know, to kind of get a different world view of kind of singing at the time. And one of the probably best things I took from my lessons with him was that you really don't need to be a great singer to attract an audience or be considered a great singer. Because if you look at Bob Dylan or the guy from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they suck at singing. They're terrible. But people love their songs, they sing along, they probably even think they're good singers, but they're really not. They have bad vocal tones, they don't have any kind of range, they probably have no idea what they're doing. But the thing he said was that the two most important things you need to do to be just singing in songs and have people be able to just at least go along with it, very least, is that you need to, one, be able to sing on pitch, obviously, which I've had trouble with a lot, but I've gotten better at it. So you need to be able to sing on pitch, and you need to be able to have an emotional voice, basically. And I really do think that's true. If you can sing with passion and be on pitch, then people will listen to what you're singing. And it also will help your singing as well. So if you do have some of the basic techniques down as far as singing and rasp and screaming, and like maybe you can't get it to sound as good or you can't get it to sound true, you need to be able to put emotion into what you're singing. And a lot of people ask me, like, what's this person doing here? What's this person doing when they're talking into the crowd? And they have this rasp in the voice. I'm like, they're just yelling. And like, that's really what I mean. Like, someone's on crowd and it's like, hey everyone, thanks for coming out tonight! They're just yelling. I mean, it's a controlled yell so they don't hurt their voice. But you have to be willing to just get outside of your box and just put yourself into the singing. And that will help you do a lot of what you want to do. I didn't learn how to sing or scream. I mean, I didn't learn how to sing with rasp or scream until I was willing to just go for it. And so yeah, I think that's pretty much all I want to cover in this video. I'm going to make more videos on this stuff as well. I haven't been doing as much YouTube stuff just because I've been busy lately with my bands and my I'm starting school in like 2 weeks, which is, yeah! But anyways, so if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. I really do reply a lot, and messages as well. I don't check my messages as much, but comments I check a lot more just because they help. They show up right in your video, and they let me know every time I get a comment. So if you really want me to respond to your message, I will, and I might even make a video about your points if I feel like enough people have that issue or your point's important enough, meaning that it'll help a lot of people. So anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. Like this video if you liked it. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later.